Okay, PreCalc B.
Yeah.
And PreCalc AB-ish. Okay. This is day 2. They exist. We like the PreCalc AB kids. They're like, we want to suffer painfully. No, there's 3. 3 survive. Yeah. I mean, one's no longer with us, but 3 survive.
Okay.
It's very complicated. All right, anyways, so today we're going to talk about equation of a circle, equations of sine functions, and then we're going to evaluate functions. And then that's it. Okay, so what is the general form for the equation of a circle? It is x minus x1 squared plus y minus y1 squared equals r squared. That is a circle. So if you see an equation that looks like that, it's a circle. Now, you could get problems going either way. They could give you a circle, and then you have to give the equation, or they could give you the equation, you have to give a circle. Or they could say, hey, we have a circle whose center is at like 2, 1, and the radius is 5. Write the equation of the circle. How would you do that? You're going to plug in to the equation of the circle. 2 goes in there. 1 goes in there. 5 goes in there. Doing all right, buddy?
I tried.
Tried to do all right? Okay. So that's the equation of your circle. If you had to graph it, could you? Sure. Okay. Your class? Teaching? No? Got it? Okay. So how would you graph this? Well, you're going to find the center point, which is 2, 1. That's the center. Then you go 5 out in each of the 4 directions. Left, right, up, and down. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then connect the dots to hopefully make something that looks like a circle, even though it probably won't. Unless you're Risa, and then it'll look like a perfect circle every single time. Don't know how she does it, but every single time, like perfect circle. Good job, Risa. Everyone else? Be more like Risa. Okay. So, conversely, they could give you the circle and then ask you for the equation of it. I'll do the same one. That's -3. Let's go down 2. Okay, what's the equation of that circle? Well, we know that our equation is always going to look like this. What is x1, Micah?
-3.
-3, because it's the x-coordinate of the center point. So that's going to be +3. What is y1, Christian?
2.
-2. So that will also become a plus. What is the radius, Victor?
Radius would be 1.
1. Yep. So that's that. If they asked you for the center and the radius, you could get that. But that's the equation. Sound good? Do we like circles? Yeah, most of the time. Okay, the next part we really don't like. So I could not find a worksheet that gave you graphs of sine functions and then you gave the equation, but that's what the question is going to be on the final. However, we can go the other way. It is much more painful. So if you would like more accurate practice for the final, I would look at your worksheet and then just go to the answers and cover up the question and see if you can write the equation for the sinusoid. Does that make sense? That doesn't make sense. The answer has the curve drawn. So look at the answer and then be like, oh, can I write the equation? So you have to cover up the part that has the answer. And then you write it.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we find the equation of a sinusoid? Well, sine sinusoid. No. I don't know where I was going with that. I hear myself. I hear voices. It's Mr. Blanda. No way. It's not even me? You're using alternate means of learning math? Oh man. I would highly encourage that. That's good. Okay, so how do I write the equation of a sinusoid? Okay. I was like, okay, not hungry. Maybe hunger and thirst for righteousness. That was a stretch. Okay. Okay, here we go. So we have all this information and we want to write the equation of the sinusoid. Remember that your sinusoids will have a bunch of different pieces to it. Has the center line, then it's either plus or minus the amplitude. It could either be sine or cosine of, now we have the period times x minus the phase shift. You guys have to know all of these different things that could be present in a sinusoid. So let's make this more complicated and we'll do 130. Okay, so easiest one. First of all, if you write this, you probably get most of your points. So at least write that. Write something that shows me that you know what you're plugging into. Then identify the center line, probably the easiest one. Where is the center? 5. So the center line is 5. Let's ignore the plus or minus right now. What's the amplitude? That's the distance from the middle to the top. So what's the distance from the middle to the top?
2.
Everybody.
2.
Just Christian. Just Micah.
2.
Everybody?
2.
2. It's like a chorus of 2. Okay, so those ones, easy. Like that, you can pull that off easy. Okay, now the rest of it is impossible. Okay, for this part, we have to choose our starting point. So, what is a good starting point to choose? Well, it should be somewhere that we know the x-coordinate. But remember, we have 4 starting points to choose from. We could start there. We could start up there. We could start in the middle or on the bottom. This would be positive sine. This one is positive cosine. Only the front row is participating. Let's try it again. This would be positive sine. This would be positive. Pro tip, if you're laying down on your hand like this, you are already mostly asleep. But if you sit up straight in your seat, like you use the back of your seat, you're giddy with excitement for class, taking notes diligently, then you are more poised to absorb the information. Okay? Excellent. That's right. Okay, the top one is positive sine. If it starts in the middle going down, it is negative sine. If it starts on the bottom, it is negative cosine. So, what starting point could I choose? I could choose any of these, right? There, there. I want to choose the one that's closest to the y-axis. So that would be this point right here. I know the y value for it, or the x value for it, so I am happy to choose that point. What does that point correspond to? Negative cosine, because it starts at the bottom, the valley. Remember, he's God of the hills and valleys. So, the valley is the negative cosine. Okay, now we have dx minus phi. So, what is d? D is, or it has to do with the period, or how often it repeats. So, take any 2 points on your curve. Since we only know 2 x values, I will use those. And you're asking yourself, how often does it repeat? Normally it repeats every 360. This one repeats every 120. 120, because 130 minus 10 is 120. So, how many times faster than normal is it repeating? Normally it would be 360, but now it's repeating 3 times in that period. So this number is 3. Because 360 divided by 3 is 120. Okay? If it repeats every 360 or every 2 pi, then you would just put 1 there. That's fine. Okay, last thing is the phase shift. So if this was right on the y-axis, then our phase shift would be 0. But we are shifted a little bit. Which way did we shift? Left or right?
Right.
Right. How far did we shift?
10 degrees.
10 degrees. So that's our equation of the sinusoid. Horrible? It gets the job done. So, again, on your worksheet, look at the answer, see if you can write the equation. So for our PreCalc A-B listening audience, you guys can leave. For our B listening audience, you have more work to do. Evaluating functions. These are those horrible problems that have never gone away. So you have like f of x is x squared minus x, and you have to evaluate f of x plus h. You're still getting these wrong. We must not. So how do I evaluate this? Every time I see x, I'm plugging in x plus h in parentheses. So I will plug in wherever I see an x, I'm going to leave an open spot to plug things in. Then I'm going to plug in x plus h. And then solve. So what is this? It says x squared plus 2xh plus h squared minus x minus h, because the minus distributes. That's your answer. It's gross. It's disgusting. It will help you in calculus later, if you take calculus next year. Okay. That's it. Okay, so those are all the new topics for today. We do have a little bit of time left, so I want to go over all the questions that you guys skipped yesterday. So we're back to some French students there. Okay, give me one of the evil questions that nobody liked.
Is that the one with the polar form? With
The negative 5 square root of 3 over 2 minus 5 over 2i, and then the n equals 2.
Okay, so they want you to take this to the 1/2 root, or find the 2 square roots.
Oh.
That's what the n equals 2 meant. So, how do I do this problem?
I said you pray.
First step, you do pray. Yes.
Graph.
You are going to graph this because you have to convert from rectangular to polar. So, let's graph. Negative 5 square root of 3 over 2 is here. Negative 5 halves I is down here. Because this is your real axis, this is your imaginary axis. So, I have to find 2 things. You okay?
No.
Not okay?
No, I was doing the problem wrong,
okay.
so bad.
So this is like your R and this is your U from algebra 2. Right, up. In this case we want left and down because it's negative. Okay, now we have to find 2 things in order to put it in polar form, which would be something cis something. This is the magnitude or the hypotenuse. So I'm going to do the the diagram theorem. 5 square root of 3 divided by 2. Squared plus 5 half squared, take the square root. The answer is 5.
How do you get the degrees?
Awesome. So there are 2 ways to get the angle. First, you could look at it and be like, huh. And then go, that's 30. Or, because it's a 30, 60, 90 triangle,
Yeah.
But normally that doesn't work. So how do you actually get this angle? You take the arctangent of opposite over adjacent, which is -5/2 divided by -5 square root of 3 over 2, which will get you 30 degrees. Always opposite over adjacent. So 30 degrees is not the angle we want. Remember that you have to take your angle from the positive x-axis. So you actually want this angle, which is 210 degrees. So this in polar form is 5 cis 210. Now, yes?
Do you multiply 30 by 2?
No.
But that's 270, right? And then minus 60.
Never use 270. It's 180 plus 30. You will never use 90 or 270, ever. Because this is 180, and then we add this. Now, 270 would work if you had this angle, which is 60, and then you did 270 minus 60, but you don't want to do that. So in general, just don't use 270. Because it'll also mess you up with these angles here. So just don't do it. We always draw our triangles to the x-axis, so you will always use 0, 180, or 360. Good question. Now that I have this, how do I take it to the 1/2 power? You take the number in front to the 1/2 power. This number times 1/2. But when we take the square root of something, how many answers do we expect? 2, right? Usually the plus or minus one. So I know I'm going to add something because they're asking for 2 answers. So I'm going to add the period. This function is repeating twice as fast, so the period is 180. So that also gives me 5 to the 1/2 power, cis of 285.
Do you want us to convert the 5 to 1/2 to a number?
Yep. So now you're going to convert back to rectangular form. Or, as an early 2000s Mr. Belanda might say, get rect. Rectangular form.
What? You said that?
Get rectangular.
You
No.
said
That wasn't even a thing in the 2000s.
When was that?
It was like 3 years ago.
No.
Yeah, you said it all the
If
time.
you said that, no.
Okay, so we have square root of 5, cis 105. Okay, how do I convert this to rectangular form? This is the easy part. This is like the breath of fresh air. You're like, yeah.
You did square root of 5, cosine 105 plus sine I 105. Oh, I sine.
Remember that the square root of 5 distributes, so that's going to live in there too. Plug those things into your calculator, and then that's your first number. Doing all right there, buddy?
I'm just tired.
Okay. I can assign more homework if that would help.
No,
Why do you assume that Homer fixes everything?
it's
Because like when you feel like you have more work to do, then you're more motivated to get to it. And if you have less work to do, you're like, oh, it's the opposite?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Would you like less homework? Oh, she said no.
yes.
Okay, perfect.
No.
Woo! Years of training has led to this moment. Students ask for more homework.
Because her automatic answer to you is no.
I thought he was talking about something else, so I'm just like, no.
So, then you're going to evaluate this one. Square root of 5 cosine 285 is that. Square root of 5 sine of 285 is this. That's that. I did something wrong.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, no.
You definitely did something wrong.
No, you got it right.
I don't like that answer.
You just gotta round at 7 to an 8.
Is that the right answer?
Yeah, it's negative 0.58 plus 269.
Okay. Alright. I guess it is like a plus minus, because this one's 1, and then if you switch this, I'm content with that. You okay?
I'm so angry.
Okay. Alright. So, that's it.